Hey everyone, it's me, Goku. Don't forget to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming. Here you'll find the latest Dragon Ball news and content. Also, don't forget to like the video and follow Unreal on both Instagram and Twitter.
Kakarot! You, Kakarot, you will be the first to turn on notifications. And give this video a like right now, or else I'll destroy you!
With the official Dragon Ball Super manga now having to finally return after taking nearly a year off in its hiatus following the unfortunate death of its creator Akira Toriyama, following the story's initial return via a one-shot special, we now have official information, details, leaks, and spoilers in regards to the upcoming Dragon Ball Super manga chapter, which will be that of manga chapter number 104, and with Goten and Trunks now having to be revealed and having to see where their inspirations had stemmed from in becoming the SaiyaMen warriors that they currently are, will this inevitably end up tying into something bigger, as the next Dragon Ball Super manga arc is scheduled to be announced for this upcoming story. Now, before we go and dive any further into this video, if you are new to this channel and of course have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball related, including its manga, anime, video games, fan animations, fan mangas, and more, and which would also like to be kept up to date with everything in regards to the Dragon Ball Super manga, the Dragon Ball Super anime, Dragon Ball video games, and any and all additional content within the Dragon Ball universe, then I do encourage for you all to head on over and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to always be notified whenever a brand new video is posted onto the channel, as well as also making sure to go and give this video a big fat thumbs up by smashing that like button down below if you guys are simply excited to see what the future holds for the Dragon Ball franchise. And with all that being said, courtesy of the official Dragon Ball News website and Herms98 over on Twitter, the following Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 104 leaks, images, spoilers, and information goes as follows. Now, as of course you guys can see here on your screen, it would appear as though both Goten and Trunks are seemingly off on a school trip and having to visit a museum with their classmates, only for the entire ordeal involving said classmates alongside with Goten and Trunks to take a turn for the worse, because it was only later on, as of course you guys can see, where a group of criminals go and attempt to try to take Trunks hostage by holding him at knife point, to which interestingly enough these criminals don't really know as to who Goten and Trunks are, and mind you this is before both Goten and Trunks ultimately become SaiyaMen X1 and SaiyaMen X2, but little do these criminals know as to who they're messing with, because a knife really isn't going to do anything to Goten and Trunks to begin with. However, it was only surprisingly enough to both Goten and Trunks a little later on, as of course you guys can see, the very individual that they each come to idolize, known as Clean God, comes to the rescue and having to save both Goten and Trunks from these criminals, which this is basically the first time that both Goten and Trunks are essentially meeting their superhero icon for the first time and having to come to their own rescue, which essentially also becomes something that prompts Goten and Trunks in becoming who we saw them be within the Dragon Ball Super superhero manga. And even within the movie itself, all of this is basically inspired by this one recent event and having to have Clean God come to the rescue and having to help them. You could almost go as far as to see it on their faces with how enamored they are by seeing Clean God, because as of course you guys can see here, Trunks looks to be very fascinated in having to be saved by the Clean God, as although the boys really don't know too much as to who Clean God is or what exactly he represents, especially with Trunks, because as Goten went as far as to make his way towards Capsule Corp and having to enter through Trunks' window, we see how Trunks seems to be very locked in and glued to his TV screen by playing one of the Clean God video games. So it was only after the events of having to be saved during their museum trip where this really struck home for both of them, specifically with Trunks more so than Goten, because upon with the boys sketching out ideas and trying to come up with several different outfits for their design, as of course you guys can see, Trunks seems to be the main main one that is taking the lead throughout all of this and having to come up with designs and having to come up with names for their group, and this really goes as far as to signify and show us how important Clean God is to the both of them, specifically with the impact he made on Trunks this entire time. But here's the actual kicker, because towards the very end it is actually revealed that the identity behind Clean God actually turns out to be that of Gohan, as it only appears as though Gohan had taken up the mantle in portraying this golden fighter, this golden hero, very similar to that of his high school days when he portrayed himself as the great SaiyaMen, in having to go as far as to portray an entirely new identity towards the very end, in not allowing for Goten and Trunks to pick up on the idea as to who this is, which this entire time the individual that both Goten and Trunks just so happen to coincidentally look up to just so happens to be Gohan in secret, as it would only now appear as though the only other two individuals that actually know of the true identity behind Clean God are in fact Mr. Satan and of course Videl. So I am curious to find out more if Goten and Trunks are going to inevitably find out the identity of the Clean God idol that they worship and having to be that of Gohan this entire time, as it would only appear as though towards the end of this manga chapter it looks as though there are more biker gangs and criminals that are gathering together within this city, which basically closes off the chapter where we left off during Superhero, and that is by basically having all of these criminals run roughshod all throughout the entire city until of course SaiyaMan X1 and SaiyaMan X2 had landed onto the scene. Because with the way this manga chapter one-off special seems to close out, it seems to close out and kind of enter into the beginnings of the Dragon Ball Super superhero events in the manga, because with both SaiyaMan X1 and SaiyaMan X2 having to stand proudly in front of one of the giant billboards that displays Clean God in front of them, because this entire manga one-off special seems to signify the importance behind why they look up to Clean God the way they do. But the only aspect of all of this that seems to be very ironic is the fact that Goten and Trunks do not have a clue that this entire time Gohan is the one that is playing the role of the Clean God. So although we don't really have a major reveal towards the end that indicates what the next arc is going to be within the Dragon Ball Super manga, we can only now go as far as to assume that the Dragon Ball Super story is going to be continuing going into the month of March next month, as we also have to go and bear in mind this upcoming month, specifically on March 1st, will it only be the 1-year anniversary of the unfortunate passing of Akira Toriyama. So it's been roughly almost an entire year since the Dragon Ball Super manga hiatus actually began, so this is going to be the first of many issues, beginning with that of this being a one-off special, which hopefully enough will end up tying into whatever comes later as the next arc for the Dragon Ball Super manga is announced, hopefully right around the time of March or April. But even now, by the end of all of this, I want to go in ahead and get your thoughts down in the comment section below about how you guys personally feel on the Dragon Ball Super manga having to return after nearly taking a year off in its hiatus, and more importantly is what exactly are you guys looking forward to for the next big story arc within the Dragon Ball Super manga thus far, as we are going to be covering the entirety of Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 104 once it is released in English on the channel in roughly about 2 days, so you don't want to miss out on all of the action and where this is going to potentially lead us moving forward after getting a better understanding as to where Goten and Trunks were inspired by in having to create their Saiyaman personas. So I'm really hoping that sometime between now and March we do get an official announcement on what this upcoming major story arc within the Dragon Ball Super manga is going to be. So again, I want to thank you all so much for your time and thank you all so much for tuning in, to which once more, if you also just so happen to be new to the channel and of course love Dragon Ball and anime, then I do encourage for you all to head on over and smash that subscribe button, on top of making sure to enable all notifications by clicking on the bell icon, so that way you guys can always be notified whenever a brand new video is posted onto the channel. Tune back in for so much more. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to also give this video a big fat thumbs up by smashing that like button down below if you guys enjoyed, and with all that being said, I want to thank you all so much for your time, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you down in the comment section below and in the next video. Take it easy everybody and have a great day. Peace.
Now, I know it might be weird, maybe even a little bit sus, but just trust me, okay? Just shove it in your mouth, Catman.
Say what now? I will do no such thing, Talking Bugman, but what I will do is encourage you all to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming for the latest Dragon Ball content. And while you're at it, make sure to like the video. Also, don't forget to become a member of UnrealEntGaming's Patreon community for more exclusive content, early access, and much, much more. Do it now, or I'll destroy your planet, along with every taco.
Hey, don't just waste the goddamn thing. Pass it here.